Right guys, it's Waz again with the tutorial, continuing. Right, so this is stage 3. So now we've done this bit, we've got the red paint on it and it's looking cool. Oh, gone blurred, sorry, got a bit close. So what I'm going to do now is I'm not going to do anything with this bit. I'm just going to put this to one side. So I'm going to concentrate on this because it's going to be hard enough for me to show you what I'm going to do next through this camera. But what we want to achieve now is to make it look dirty, grimy and horrible. So we have a selection of paints that we can use for these effects. So we've got the Earthshade, we've got these technical paints from Games Workshop. They're brilliant. Nurgle Rot and the other one, this one there. This is more for the copper areas of like the end of the gun there, sort of thing. I'll talk about that in a bit. That stuff's great. I've got some Vallejo paints as well. I bought these expecting great things, but to be honest with you, they didn't really impress me that much. But I'm going to use them anyway because there's some good colours there, and we can use them for streaking and stuff and making the dirtiness even dirtier. So my mud paints are here, so they're the colours I'm going to use, and we'll come to them in a bit. And you're going to need sponge as well. So I bought some proper modelling sponge, and we'll talk about these when it comes to it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little bit of ink washing, and all this ink washing stage is just to give it a little bit, make it look a little bit grimy. So obviously you have to be mega careful with the bottle, because you knock this stuff over, it's going to ruin your day. So we're just going to put a little bit of ink on. This'll just I'm not doing alt special. I'm just whacking it on in places where the cables are as well. Make it so it'll just dull down the cables a little bit. We can come back to the cables and highlight them again later, where the white paint is. So you just want to make the white paint maybe not look so white, because it's not going to be white, is it? Let's face it, on an Orc vehicle. Normally I hold the bottle like this, but I'm trying to hold this at the same time as do that. So just be careful you don't like knock it over. You don't want to do that. So I'm just putting some ink wash all over it, and I think that'll do. Not special. Just covering it with a bit of ink. That'll dry in minutes. So the next one I want to do is some stuff dripping from the vehicle. So I'm going to use this Nurgle Rot. Okay, so I'm not even going to wait for the ink to dry. So we need to give that a good shake. I have got a bottle shaker. This is a nail varnish shaker thing. I think I paid about, how much did I pay for that? I think it was about a tenner off of eBay. But this is good for shaking these types of bottles, because these types of paints for some reason do separate in these bottles, and you really do have to give them a really good shake. So I give them bottles 2 minutes on this before I use them. So but that's my paint shaker. It's a really good piece of kit. Well, I do recommend getting one if you use these dropper bottle type paints, because that is perfect for shaking them up. Right, so back to the demo. So again, fill my brush up. This brush feels a bit stiff. I think I was using it earlier for something else. Right, so I'm going to try and do this now without looking in the camera. So we just want to drag the paint down. Just put it on the top and drag it down as if it's dripping. This stuff's quite gooey and gloopy, so you want to get quite a bit on your brush. Another bit. Find a rivet and drape it down. Make it look like it's dripping down like that. So this will dry almost like I'm putting it on now. Remember, less is more. So we don't want to overdo it. So that's looking all right there. So this sort of gooey stuff, maybe where the cogs are. So I'm going to look about. Sorry, I keep going blurred. So I'm going to go into here. So where the cogs are grinding away, put some gloopiness coming down there. You see how I've done that one? That looks pretty cool. I'm not going to do much. I don't want to overdo it. Okay, I'm happy with that. Find it. I'm going to do another dribble here, as if something splattered underneath there. Okay, I'm happy with that. So I'm going to go to the engine grime paint now. Give that a good shake up. So maybe have a look down here. Do some oil dripping down and following gravity like that. Yeah, that looks all right. Again, we can go to where the thing is here, the cog. Put some grime there. Maybe do one. Oh, sorry. Maybe do one streak. Maybe do one streak coming down here from this one here. So there. Maybe follow it down as well. There. Yeah. So the real shininess of that will disappear. Try not to touch it too much either, because just in case it's not, I end up smudging it. So I'm being very careful where I put my fingers. Bit of grime in here, so it drips down. Maybe not dripping down onto the actual tracks though, because they move. Maybe a bit here. Definitely going to need some on that side. The thing is, what I'm doing now here is, the problem is, one of the stages I'm going to show you in a second, you're not going to really see this. So but you might not want to do the next stage that I'm going to show you. So yeah, that's all right. That's enough on there. So this, to me now, the stage I'm about to show you is probably the most important part of my weathering techniques. Right, so I'm going to start with the darkest brown first. I'm going to get a blob on my wet palette, my dry palette, which is there. Probably don't want to do this on a wet palette. I'm dampening my sponge. So I've just got my brush and I'm got water on it, and I'm wetting my sponge a little bit, not too much, just so it's nice and damp. Okay, oh, better put the lid back on that, don't want to be knocking that over. Okay, so that sponge now is a little bit damp, but it's not wet. Okay, so now I'm filling my sponge up. Okay, and dabbing it like this. See if I can show you. That's a better picture. Dabbing it like this, right, all the way along there, all the way along the bottom, all the way along the bottom edges. So I'm just going to move the camera up a bit better so you can see better. That's it. So again, all the way along the bottom parts of the model. Okay, so this is the darkest brown first. Okay, so keep loading your sponge up. Right, so you can be a bit rough with this part. Do underneath as well, as much as you can, getting it in here. You can be a little bit rough. Okay, so that's enough of that one. Okay, so I'm going to wet the sponge a bit more off camera. I just want to get rid of the paint that's inside the sponge. So what you need now is a clean piece of sponge. So, but I'm going to use the same piece of sponge. So now you want your next brown, so your lighter brown, so your middle brown colour. Again, load it up, exactly the same. Okay, and then this time be a bit more gentler, right? So you can see like the stippling already starting, and that's going over the top of the darker brown. Okay, and we're just, all we're doing is concentrating on the bottom edge of the model, because that's where your mud and your grime is going to be. Bottom edge of your model, like so. So I think this is called stippling. I'm not sure. Could be wrong. Don't have to go get all the track. I am gonna though. Okay, so that is looking all right already. Just gonna go for a bit more at the front. Remember, less is more. I'm gonna keep saying it. Okay, so I want to get some dirt on here as well, so I'm being as careful as I can not to overdo it. Just getting the edges where I think the mud might be picked up. That's not too bad. Put a bit of mud on there. You're not even going to see that bit of mud. Okay, so the next step, that's not bad actually. It's pretty good. So this is now the lightest step I'm going to do. Just shaking this. I can't use my machine while I'm on the video. So I'm not telling you the colours, by the way. I'm just telling you the name of the colour. Sorry, I'm just telling you dark brown, then a lighter brown, and then a really light brown, and that's what you need to use. So whatever colour you're doing your bases, whatever you've done for them, try and stick with the same sort of colours. Now my last colour, and I'll show you why in a second, is as really light. Okay, so I am basically just touching the model, so you can just see them bits there, just touching, lightly touching with this sponge. The sponge is damp. It's not wet, it's damp, and that helps. That helps with the stippling, what I'm doing here. Okay. And if you overdo it and you ruin it and you're like, oh no, I'm going to be very upset, then just put an ink wash over it, and hopefully your ink wash will dull it down a bit. So that's it. I'm not even going to go any further than that. And that's it, guys. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go away. I'm going to paint the top part, get that finished off, and then I will show you the model together. So my base is here. So what I've done is I've put some, this is not fully dried yet, is this? But I've put some weathering powder inside here, and the weathering powder is roughly the same colour as the last bit that I've used. So there you go. Alright guys, speak to you in a minute. Right guys, back again. Okay, so I've now finished all the weathering and grime and all that sort of look. So the last bit I'm going to use is this bit of paint here. So this makes the brass look like it's a little bit oxidized, I think it's called. I could be wrong. I'm only going to use a tiny little bit straight from the pot. I don't really need to do anything else with it. So you just put it on like that, and it just makes the brass look more, the brass and copper look a bit, you know, better. So once you've got it on, I normally wet the brush or dampen the brush and then just flick it around like that. And again, it's just another like technical paint. It's powder. It's like a powder. I think like a chalky powdery paint. So when it dries, it leaves like a chalky powdery residue sort of thing. I think the best way to explain it. But these type of paints, you go onto Warhammer TV anyway and watch their tutorials. Their tutorials are much better than this. Ooh. I've just put too much paint on there. Yeah, if you follow their tutorials, you'll get a much better idea of how to use these technical paints. I'm just showing you how I use it. But I might not even be using it right. I don't know. But I like the results I get, so can't be too bad. So I've just watered it down a little bit, just so I'm gonna have to give it a blow. Yeah, that's it. So when that dries, you can go over it with a real light dry brush of copper again. There's another bit there. It just makes your copper look a little bit more realistic, I suppose, the word I'm looking for. And again, if you mess it up or you don't like the results, go over it with a wash. Obviously wait for it to dry, or else you will make a mess. I just lick my brush. Should be telling you exactly what I'm doing every time I do it, shouldn't I? So yeah, it's not too bad. When it dries, obviously it looks completely different. So there you go, guys. And that's the base it's going to go on. I have decided I'm going to base it. I think these look really good on little bases. So yeah, the weathering, the grime, the look, the bits dribbling off it. It does look like there's a lot going on this model, but trust me, there isn't. I have been very I've painted it as simply as I can, and I do think this is above tabletop standard. I could be wrong. People probably shaking their heads now and watching this video thinking, oh my god, that's not tabletop standard. But I think it is, and I'd be happy to play any army that was painted to this quality. Right, so what's next? Painting this guy. I might do that tomorrow. Done far too much today. I need a beer. It's really hot outside and the kids are in the pool. Right, going to paint him tomorrow. And again, I really am. I do paint very, very simple when it comes to figures. So nothing really changes. Right, I hope you enjoyed that, guys. So there you go. Brilliant. All right, guys. Speak to you later.